Ooh, ooh, there he is. Oh, a male ruby-throated hummingbird at the bird feeder. Yes. Oh, I'm just always... Hello. I'm so glad that you stopped by. I was just looking at my feeder. I have 5 different feeders around the house. And they look like this because I was getting ready to fill it up. This is a hummingbird feeder. And we fill it up with sugar water, 4 parts water to 1 part sugar. And the hummingbirds are attracted to the flowers and the color red. And I was just watching a male hummingbird at the feeder hovering over the feeder. So I guess you might say that I really do love to look at birds. And I'm so glad you stopped by today because I have a special book that I would like to read to you, and I think that you would enjoy it. So I'll put my binoculars away for a few minutes. And the book that I would like to share with you today, I love to read books, is called About Birds. And it is written by Sill. She used to be a former elementary school teacher, and now she writes children's books. And it is illustrated by her husband, John Sill, who is an award-winning nature illustrator. They have lots of books that they wrote, that she wrote and he illustrated, such as this one about birds, about mammals, about reptiles, about insects, about amphibians, about fish, about arachnids, about crustaceans, about mollusks, about marsupials, about rodents, about penguins. Oh, and here's another one I'd like to get, about raptors. Yes. So John is a prize-winning and widely published wildlife artist who illustrated all of her books. And Catherine was a former elementary school teacher, and she is the author of these About books. About Birds is today. Are you ready to hear a story or learn a little bit? So let's start from the beginning, and I'll hold the illustration up to you. All right, birds have feathers. And feathers protect birds from the elements, such as rain or snow. Because feathers are so light and so strong, they enable birds to fly. This bird right here is a northern cardinal. You may have seen one in your yard or maybe over at Steele Creek Park. So birds have feathers. Do we have feathers? Nah. No, we don't have feathers. We have skin. This was the cover. Baby birds hatch from eggs. Although all birds hatch from eggs. Different species of birds have different nesting habits, such as this American robin built its nest up in a tree. But not all birds build their nest in trees. Some birds, such as this ovenbird, builds its nest on the ground. And do you see that ovenbird? Do you see that small dome nest that it builds? It gets its name from that nest because the ovenbird builds a small dome-shaped structure, and it resembles an old-fashioned oven. There's the ovenbird. So, some birds build their nest on the ground. And others, such as this bald eagle, build their nest in very high places. And many birds build nests above the ground, with different heights, according to the needs of that particular individual species. But you would never find a bald eagle building its nest on the ground. No. Some birds, such as this common myrrh. The common myrrh doesn't build a nest at all. It lays its pointed pear-shaped egg. See that pointed pear-shaped egg? Right on the rocky ledge. And that elongated shape of the egg causes them to roll in a circular motion. And that prevents them from rolling off of the edge. So that pointed shape allows the birds, they don't have to build a nest at all. So not all birds build nests. Birds travel in different ways. Canada geese are strong flyers, and they're able to migrate hundreds of miles in the spring and in the fall. Do you see that pattern that they make when they fly? What shape is that in? Do you know? What is that shape? You might say an arrow. It's like a V shape. You can see them traveling in the spring and the fall, migrating hundreds of miles away. They're very strong flyers. And here's the bird I was looking at earlier, a ruby-throated hummingbird. There's the male, and the female is further up. Most birds do fly. The male ruby-throat can even hover. Well, both of them hover. But male ruby-throats beat their wings around 70 times per second. Here's a second. Boop, just like that. 70 times. They can beat their wings. They can hover, and they can even fly backwards. That's why they're so much fun to watch at your feeders. Oh, here's one of my favorite birds. You know how we said that most birds fly? Well, some swim. This is one of my favorite ducks. This is a wood duck. The male is the very colorful duck, and the female is right here. And you must wonder how they swim. Well, they have webbed feet, and that enables them to swim. They're very strong flyers, but their webbed feet allow them to swim. Do we have webbed feet? Nah. Now, you can put on some flippers and get in the swimming pool, but we don't have webbed feet like they do. So there's that beautiful wood duck. Let's see what else we have here. You know, most birds fly, some birds swim, but other birds like to run. beep, beep, pew. Beep, beep, pew. The greater roadrunner can run 20 miles per hour. They're able to fly, but they just seem to prefer to run. The greater roadrunner. Some birds flock together. You'll see large groups of them, such as these red-winged blackbirds in the wintertime. They mainly flock together for protection, but during the nesting season, each pair has its own territory. So some birds, such as this red-winged blackbird, flock together, as many birds do, and some like to live alone, such as this great horned owl. Many birds of prey are solitary. That means they like to be alone. There's a great horned owl. So there's a lot of variety with birds, isn't there? Especially with their bills and their beaks. Birds use their bills to gather food. Up here is another kind of hummingbird that's called the Magnificent Hummingbird. This is an evening grosbeak, and look at the shape of its bill. What is that good for? And the great blue heron in the middle has a pointed spear-like bill to get fish. The cedar waxwing right here has a bill designed to get berries. And the vermilion flycatcher catches insects. Now, it would be very hard for that great blue heron to catch a fly with that bill. And I certainly don't think that a hummingbird would be able to catch a fish. So, not only do they use their bills to gather their food, but they also use their bills to preen their feathers, fluff them up, clean them, and they use them to build their nests and also to defend themselves if they would need to. So, birds are just very different. They sing like this indigo bunting, and they sing to let other birds know how they feel. And they use their voices to attract mates, to defend their territory, and also to warn others of possible danger. Birds come in all sizes. The bald eagle, you see that bald eagle catching that fish? The bald eagle's wingspan is about 70 inches. About 80 inches. The great blue heron is about 70 inches when it spreads its wings and when it's flying. But about 80 inches for that bald eagle. 80 inches. But you know that ruby-throated hummingbird that I was looking at earlier? Its wingspan is about 3 3/4 of an inch. Different sizes, different lengths of their wing. So, whether you know it or not, birds are very important to us. We benefit from birds. in many ways. They eat harmful insects. They pollinate some flowers. They disperse seeds. And they also keep rodents, the rodent population down, such as the great horned owl and hawks. And then again, just observing birds brings great pleasure to so many people, such as myself. So, if you have a backyard or a park like Steele Creek Park nearby to go to, you can go be quiet for a while and just listen to the birds and see what you can hear and see how many different kinds of songs that you might hear. And you'll start to get very familiar with birds. So, since Wildlife Weekend this year is a little different and we're not having it all in the same place, we have different activities throughout the week. And one thing that I will be leaving on October the 17th as a curbside pickup for anyone who is interested is a bird called Discover Birds Activity Book. And this is put out by the Tennessee Ornithological Society with the artist Vicki Henderson, who has all of the illustrations in it. And this book is really for about anywhere from 8-year-olds to 14-year-olds. And it's a great activity book to have and different games to play with it. Matching games, migration, mad, fill in, and how birds survive in the winter time. And you may enjoy this, and I'll be leaving this on October the 17th. It will be up at the gate for you to pick up if you're interested. And if you can't make it there between 11 and 2, when they'll be handing out some things for our Wildlife Weekend, you could pick it up at the Nature Center at a later date. We just don't know if the Nature Center is going to be open due to COVID-19. So I love to read books. I like to find out as much as I can about birds, such as their bird tracks and the signs that a bird has been there. So maybe next time you come to visit with me, we'll read something else. We'll learn how to get birding. Whether we're exploring a forest or a backyard or a city, birds are all around us. And there's always common birds that we see in our yards all the time or in the parks. And then there are birds that come seasonally, such as the warblers. So you don't need to have a pair of binoculars to go birding. Sometimes you just have to go out and listen. So thank you for visiting with me today. I hope that we can read another book soon. And I think that I'm going to, because it's still a pretty day in the neighborhood, I think I'm going to put my birding hat on. It's still pretty sunny. Take my binoculars. And I think I'm going to go birding. I hope that you get a chance to go look at birds real soon. Thanks for stopping by.